There I stood, at the edge of my own field, watching Melissa's Dula 220,000 wedding tent sway gently in the breeze, resembling a grand pavois lion fit for royalty. The music blared, and guests in stilettos trampled my soybean sprouts without a second thought. Then, her caterer approached me, inquiring with remarkable audacity whether I could relocate my tractor because it was spoiling the aesthetic. That was the moment I calmly activated the manure spreaders, their engines roaring to life as chaos ensued. How had it come to this? Let us step back and examine the events that led to this point. I serve as the sheriff of a tranquil county nestled in the Appalachian foothills, a region characterized by sprawling forests and winding backroads, a place where people wave as they pass, even if they harbor no fondness for you. After 20 years in the military, I returned home to care for my father following his first stroke. He passed away last spring, bequeathing me the land and the hunting lodge he had constructed with his own hands over 3 decades. He often described that lodge as his cathedral, and standing amidst the pines and serenity, I came to understand his sentiment. It was more than mere wood and nails. It embodied legacy, family, and the lessons he imparted about patience, resilience, and maintaining integrity amid life's challenges. Then entered Patricia Hawthorne, president of the local homeowners association, HOA, recently divorced and brimming with vindictive energy. She resembled a figure from a dated department store catalog. Ing Alexis, unaccustomed to gravel roads, a woman convoy, and said that every issue could be resolved with paperwork, penalties, or a disingenuous smile. I had encountered her occasionally when she still played the role of suburban homemaker in the cul-de-sac adjacent to my property. She had been unremarkable until she decided my father's lodge disrupted the harmony of her neighborhood. To clarify, my lodge sits just beyond the HOA's jurisdiction, 10 feet outside the imaginary boundary she believed granted her authority over the natural world. It has never been part of her domain, nor will it ever be. Yet, this did not deter her from approaching my porch one Saturday morning, clipboard in hand, as if it were a sacred relic. I was repairing a storm shutter when I heard the distinct clack of heels on gravel. Turning, I saw her standing there, exuding unwarranted confidence. "Good morning," she chirped, ignoring the fact that she had trespassed onto private land. "I'm Patricia, president of the Pine Ridge HOA. We've received complaints about your structure." "Structure?" I replied, wiping my on a rag and raising an eyebrow. "You mean my family's lodge?" Her smile tightened. "Yes, well, the logs are untreated, and your woodpile is visible from the road. It doesn't align with the community's aesthetic." I glanced past her at the forest stretching into the hills, devoid of any onlookers for miles. "The community? You mean the deer?" That remark did not sit well with her. She huffed, extracted a stapled packet from her clipboard, and extended it toward me. "These are the HOA guidelines. Section 8 addresses structure visibility, landscaping, and color palettes." I declined to accept it. "I'm not in the HOA." Her smile faltered slightly. "You're adjacent to it, and that impacts our soul cohesion. We're preserving property values. I am not one for unnecessary conflict, but I do not shy from it either. This land has been in my family since 1952, I stated plainly. That lodge predates your entire subdivision. Unless your bylaws were drafted by a higher authority than the county, they hold no sway here." I assumed that would conclude the matter. It did not. The following week, signs appeared along the gravel road to my property, "Private HOA residents only." They were laminated, staked into the ground, and bore her unofficial HOA logo. One obstructed the trailhead I used for hiking. Another partially concealed the hand-carved wooden sign my father made years ago, "Welcome to Cedar Haven." I removed them all and burned them in my fire pit that night. By morning, they had returned. Then came the fines, delivered in pristine envelopes adorned with her HOA letterhead: violation, unauthorized structure, violation, unapproved fire pit, violation, wildlife attractant, apparently. Feeding corn to deer now constituted a grave offense in her eyes. Again, I was not part of her HOA. I responded with an official cease and desist letter, citing property law, zoning boundaries, and the clear delineation of her jurisdiction's limits. I even proposed a CIVYL meeting. Her reply? She forwarded my alleged infractions to the local utility company. That escalated matters to a personal level. One evening, I returned home to find my power disconnected. No storms, no down lines, just silence. Inspecting the meter confirmed it had been manually shut off. A call to the utility office revealed a complaint had been lodged. Safety hazard, uninhabited structure, immediate risk. I had to fax land deeds and legal documents to restore service. This was no longer a petty neighborly spat. It was a calculated campaign. She wanted my lodge erased, regardless of the means. Patricia underestimated my patience, which rivals that of a seasoned veteran, and my penchant for strategic foresight. I began documenting everything. Every letter, every baseless fine, photographs of her signs, evidence of tampering, and testimonies from neighbors she had intimidated. I had no immediate intent to act, naively hoping she would tire of her crusade and redirect her energy elsewhere, perhaps to scrutinizing someone's flower beds. Instead, she intensified her efforts. One Saturday, I noticed tire tracks near the trail behind my shed. Following them, I discovered a pile of contractor debris, siding, drywall scraps, paint cans dumped into the creek. I reported it, cleaned it myself, and resolved to establish firm boundaries. I erected a large wooden sign at the property line: private land. Trespassers will be prosecuted. The next morning, it was gone, replaced by a plastic placard declaring, "Future site of Pine Ridge Nature Park, sponsored by your HOA." This was no mere power play. It was a blatant attempt to annex my land, transforming it into a sanitized playground for her clique, likely with my father's lodge raised to accommodate a yoga pavwai lion and organic snack bar. The breaking point arrived with the wedding tent. Without permission, she invaded my field with trucks, caterers, and florists, claiming it was perfect for her niece's rustic ceremony and asserting verbal approval from the county. I watched as they drove stakes into my soil, laid carpets over my soybeans, and arranged chairs like a scene from a bridal photo shoot. When the caterer asked me to move my tractor for the sake of the backdrop, I activated the manure spreaders. The aftermath went viral, but that was not the end. Amid the pandemonium, as guests scrubbed cake from their tuxedos, I received a call from the fire department, ablaze near the lodge. Before I activated my siren, before I saw the smoke rising, before ash coated my throat, I knew it was no accident. It was arson, and I suspected the culprit. Arriving at the scene, I found the lodge reduced to embers. 30 years of my father's craftsmanship lay in ruins. The porch collapsed, the chimney a solitary marker, the elk head above the fireplace ash. Firefighters contained the spread, and I stood there, sweat-soaked and furious. The fire chief, Tom, approached grimly. "We found a gas can," he said quietly, "hidden under brush near the foundation." My jaw tightened. "Could be trash dumping," I offered. He shook his head. "Accelerant trails, multiple ignition points. And there's more. Look." Behind the former toolshed, boot prints marked the Mudlight tactical tread, size 8 or 9, not from my crew or firefighters. 2 days prior, I had seen Patricia at the Army surplus store, haggling over a camouflage jacket she dubbed couture combat wear, paired with new tactical boots. Now, those same boots left evidence at my father's torched legacy. I am no fool. After the power shut off, I had installed wildlife cameras around the property, motion-triggered, cloud-synced, discreetly hidden. Fire could not erase digital records. At the station, I reviewed the footage. Amid hours of mundane forest activity, there she was, Patricia Hawthorne, in full camouflage, clutching a red gas can. She skulked toward the lodge at dusk, doused the perimeter with liquid, lit a rag, and dropped it with theatrical flair. The flames erupted, and she fled, her smug smile captured as she destroyed my father's legacy. I could have arrested her then, but I chose restraint. This was no longer solely about arson or revenge, it was about her broader pattern of deceit and domination. I compiled evidence methodically: phone records, gas station receipts, neighbor testimonies of her harassment, fines for wind chimes, threats over mailbox use. I uncovered that her HOA bylaws were never legally filed, rendering her authority fictitious. She had forged board resignations, declaring herself president indefinitely without elections. Her motive emerged unexpectedly from her niece, who cited the station, apologetic and nervous. Patricia sought to eliminate the lodge for a wellness retreat, expansion spas, trails, gazebos, viewing my land as an obstacle. She assumed arson would drive me to sell. I thanked the young woman and opened a case file. Arson, fraud, forgery, harassment, abuse of power. The decisive blow came days later at the county clerk's office. Patricia had filed a permit claiming my burned land as conditionally annexed community property under her HOA's expansion. This overreach proved why dead the legal leverage I needed. I could have arrested her immediately, but I sought a reckoning. I investigated her finances, fake filings, and predatory fines targeting vulnerable residents, elderly, single parents, overworked individuals unlikely to resist. I rallied those she had bullied, sharing their stories of dismantled bird baths and penalized holiday lights. With state-level assistance, I invalidated her HOA charter, its signatures traced to a yard sale list. I filed an arrest warrant myself. Arson, vandalism, fraud, trespassing. On arrest day, her victims gathered with lawn chairs and popcorn as I apprehended her mid-HOA meeting. She shrieked about lawsuits, collapsing into her hydrangeas, but the crowd cheered. In court, her excuses unraveled against the damning footage. She received 5 years probation, community service, and due lot $800,000 in restitution. A civil suit followed, nullifying her HOA's actions and exposing her lies. Her house languishes unsold, her empire dissolved. The community celebrated with a barbecue free of her tyranny. I rebuilt the lodge, fireproof and fortified, adding a sign, Cedar Haven Lodge, Patricia-proof since 2024. She scrubs park benches now, her appeals futile. I tend my land, savoring peace and a tale worth telling. Never provoke the wrong neighbor.